An Idaho lawmaker is comparing abortion to prostitution. Now, this is Representative Ron Mendive, and he's basically asking members of the ACLU that, you know, if they are supportive of reproductive rights and abortion, does that mean that they're also supportive of prostitution? So I don't really know how he links these two together. I think that he was just bringing up the whole question of choice. So should a woman have the choice to have an abortion? And if that's the case, isn't it something where women should also have the choice to be prostitutes? And the ACLU had a really interesting response to that. But before I get to that, let me read you what the state representative said. Of course, he got criticism for this. He says, "It was just a question. I do believe it's a double standard. Prostitution is a choice more so than an abortion would be. Except, no." Right? And the reason why I say no is because in some cases prostitution is not a choice, right? But if we legalized and regulated prostitution, then it would be easier for it to be more of a choice, if you see what I'm saying. Now, the ACLU's response, they're professionals, and of course they have to point out that prostitution is illegal, but my issue with it was the fact that they said that they are not supportive of prostitution, okay? And I know that they said that because in its current state, prostitution is not necessarily a great thing because it's unregulated. A lot of women do get exploited because of prostitution, but basically their argument was, well, reproductive rights are protected under the Constitution. In fact, Roe v. Wade stated that. But prostitution is something that is illegal and it is not protected by the Constitution, right? And that was their argument to this lawmaker. So John, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, there are a couple of angles on this that I was a bit confused by. When you initially told me about the story, I would have guessed that the ACLU would have said, well, yeah, prostitution is illegal, but it shouldn't be. And I love that he brought this up because he was trying to catch them in sort of an ideological, like inconsistency. But if you asked me, well, shouldn't prostitution, that's a choice, shouldn't that be legal too? I'd be like, yeah. That's the easiest little problem to have to solve. And I don't really understand the ACLU's position on this. I thought, or it seemed like in previous cases when the ACLU got involved in something, it was because they're driven primarily by principles or by ideology, not by just rote adherence to legislation.
Right.
And yeah,
I think the reason why the ACLU said that is because of the fact that in sex trafficking today and in prostitution today, there are cases where a woman does not have a choice. You know, they are controlled by so-called pimps, and it could be a violent and abusive situation. And of course, I'm not trying to make a blanket statement about all prostitution. There are cases, and Cenk and I have discussed it, you know, in detail on this show, where women make the conscious decision to be prostitutes or participate in the sex industry, and they do so because they genuinely want to. They enjoy it. They don't see anything morally or ethically wrong with it, and they do it. But unfortunately, we live in this religious country that demonizes people who want to do it, so we don't legalize it and we don't regulate it, and regulating it is the important aspect of this.
I don't discount the fact that underlying prostitution, somewhat in America, but definitely in other countries, there is the human trafficking element, but I don't see that as like a philosophical point on why it should be kept illegal. You're not allowed to force people to do things. It's legal to play college football. It's not legal to force someone to throw a game. Like, that's the illegal part, and we can legalize prostitution and still maintain distinctions like that, I think, anyway. But yeah, when she says that, you know, that prostitution is currently illegal, yeah, there are things though that are illegal that shouldn't be. Interracial
like
marriage
marijuana,
was or slavery or interracial marriage, like things like that. If you're an ideological organization or you're trying to make the country better, it's not just, oh, it's illegal, what can we do?